Hi, everyone. We'll all be at war with Mars soon, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy ourselves every now and then with things that I find on the internet. So you don't have to. Twitter things in this case. Today it is a thread I saw this morning by Chris Brosnahan about how great the novel Dracula is. Better than you think, turns out. Been thinking about Dracula and what in the novel the Count's plan actually was before it gets rudely interrupted by the good and wholesome Scooby Gang. And it's a nasty, effective one. First off, if you haven't read the book, read the book. It's an absolute belter and enormously fun, and there's never been an adaptation that nails it. And I would have to agree with that. It's a story that's so good that whatever changes get made by the filmmakers usually are fine. You know, there's so many good things about the book that if you take a few out or change a few things, it doesn't destroy the basic, strength of the whole idea anyway. Especially since Bram Stoker's Dracula, meaning I believe he means the one that came out in 1992 from Francis Ford Coppola. The idea of Dracula pursuing the image of his lost, I assume he means lost love, tends to be portrayed as part of the reason he travels to the UK, crossing oceans of time and all that, but it's wrong. Dracula is a warlord he's planning to conquer with patience and ambition as his two main tools, and his plan is a good one. It almost works. In terms of ambition, Dracula has to sleep in the earth, and it has to be the earth where he died. He doesn't have to sleep in a coffin filled with earth. That's his innovation. It lets him escape his natural confinement. Sorry about that. And he doesn't just bring over one coffin with him. He brings over 50 and places them in different parts of London to give himself a freedom in one of the largest, most modern cities in the world. Dracula is patient. He's bought up properties. He's planned this for a long time. And it may seem like he does almost nothing when he gets to London, but bear with me. First off, it's reasonably clear he's a little overwhelmed by London, but he's still operating quickly. He feeds on Lucy, killing her and enslaving her. It takes time, too. But it's what Lucy does next that's the key to Dracula's plan, I think. Her prey isn't her list of admirers, it's children. As the Bloofer lady, Lucy immediately starts feeding on multiple children. She's staked before she actually kills any of them. Earlier in the novel, we get Dracula stealing a baby to feed to his brides. So this is the first time I've thought about this part of the plan. But the kids aren't food this time. They're going to be turned. Dracula's plan was to weaponize kids. Each one like little vampire bombs in multiple households, capable of turning their entire families. Let's assume it takes time and effort for Dracula to turn someone. After all, he only does it once in the novel, and almost a second time. But Lucy, she's turning multiple kids at the same time, and each one of those would likely do the same. Each kid infects their family and friends, each of whom then goes out to infect others. Exponential growth. Remember the computer program in The Thing projecting what would happen if the alien reached a populated area? It's that. Projection: if intruder organism reaches civilized areas, entire world population infected, 27,000 hours from first contact. Dracula's biggest mistake is pride. He's so pissed at Van Helsing, etc., that he goes after Mina next, which leads to his downfall. He then retreats to work on his plan and come back again with a better one. Van Helsing makes the point that in this enlightened age, the doubting of wise men would be his greatest strength. And he's completely right. It being a modern city worked in Dracula's favor. Look, Dracula's big gamble is this, that it would take so long for people to understand and believe what was happening that he'd be in an advantageous position by the time they did. And he's right. The newspaper writes about the Bloofer lady and children going missing as a point of amusement and mentions them being bitten as proof that Hampstead Heath needs to have fewer rats. In the old country, Dracula's relatively weak. When Jonathan gets there, everyone is constantly vigilant. They all believe in vampires and know how to handle them. Dracula is scary enough that there's basically a stalemate/truce situation going on with the local population. We can see this because Dracula steals and murders a baby, and they don't storm it and burn the castle down. They don't storm and burn the castle down. Now, this brings about the biggest flaw in my argument. Dracula and the brides don't turn the kid he stole, they just eat it. But if we assume that the villagers know what's going on, there's an even nastier reason for that. You're in an area where people know what vampires are and take precautions. They're brutally effective at it because Dracula and his brides are mostly stuck in the castle, starving. So my guess is this. In an area like that, if a kid is being fed on and going to be turned into a vampire, they just kill the fucking kid. Problem solved. So when Dracula steals a child, might as well feast on it. It's not going to be useful. And he's dangerous enough that the villagers basically shrug and go, oh, well, it could have been worse. And, don't storm the damn castle. London, though? London literally laughs off the missing kids in the society pages because they're doing impressions of the Bloofer lady when they come back. And the reason Van Helsing and the rest of the Scooby Gang chase Dracula when he retreats, because they know what future generations will be even less well-equipped to handle Dracula next time around. They know that, I believe, is a typo. They know that future generations will be even less well-equipped to handle Dracula the next time around. Now, if Dracula had gone to another part of London and created another lieutenant, rather than getting petty and going for Mina, that same pattern would have started again, even more quickly. I think of it kind of like something sending out blips. Dracula can't create many lieutenants because it takes time. But once he does, each one infects loads of kids who then go infect loads of others. That would be fast. Before long, game over, man. Game over. That's why Dracula made for an effective warlord, a fast attack, weaponizing children, getting to the point of victory before the enemy even knows they're fighting. And that was the plan without ever having visited London. That was entirely theory. The second he realizes the plan hasn't worked, he retreats to be patient, analyze why it went wrong, and in his new firsthand knowledge of the area, he tries again when no one expects it. It might have been, and with his new firsthand knowledge, I assume, instead of and in. Thanks to Twitter being a shit show now, being shit now, sorry. Threads are now lousy for engagement. So this was as much me getting this out of my head as anything else. If you've got this far, though, what do you think? Does it sound like the plan? Oh, Dracula's other mistake, Lucy. Right, the whole thing with Lucy in the movies is that she tends to be sexualized overtly, especially in Bram Stoker's Dracula. But in the book, it's less of a thing. She's not enjoying having multiple suitors. She's embarrassed and genuinely worried about hurting the ones she turns down. And they're not even dicks about it. They're genuinely like, well, if we can be friends, then that's awesome because we all adore you, and congratulate the guy she chooses. So when Dracula goes after Lucy, he degrades someone genuinely good and wholesome. It's not a possessive thing or a jealous thing. They're all genuinely outraged that he's done this to someone as wonderful as Lucy. Yes, Victorian standards of purity and fetishization of it. Yes, patriarchy. Yes, beautiful white lady. Yes, swarthy foreign menace, daring to touch her, etc. Not saying unproblematic. But on the page, the Scooby Gang are so wholesome, it's unbelievable. I love them. Finally, I campaigned for a film version to include Dracula's unfashionable straw hat. And then this tweet from 2-3 years ago. And an unfashionable straw hat. For some reason, Dracula's bad straw hat is never in the films. Let's read this. Many men who are rough and hot, these be better fellows too, when they have been no more thirsty. They say much of blood and bloom, and of others, which I comprehend not, though I guess what they mean. But nevertheless, they tell us all things which we want to know. They make known to us among them how last afternoon at about 5 o'clock comes a man so hurry, a tall man, thin and pale, with a high nose and teeth so white and eyes that seem to be burning, that he be all in black, except that he have a hat of straw, which suit not him or the time. That he scatter his money in making quick inquiry as to what ship sails for the Black Sea and for where. Some took him to the office and then to the ship, where he will not go aboard but halt at shore end of gangplank, and ask that the captain come to him. The captain come, when told that he will be pay well, and though he swear much at the first, he agree to term. Then the thin man go, and someone tell him where horse and cart can be hired. He go there, and soon he come again, himself driving cart, on which a great box. This he himself lift down, though it take several to put it on truck for the ship. he give much talk to captain as to how and where his box is to be placed. But the captain like it not, and swear at him in many tongues, and tell him that if he like, he can come and see where it shall be. But he say no, that he come not yet, for that he have much to do. Whereupon the captain tell him that he had better be quick with blood, for that his ship will leave the place. Here's another bit of awesome Dracula stuff with different versions of hot 70s Dracula. Oh yeah, the Frank Langella. The 1970s Broadway Dracula play, designed by Edward Gorey, first starred Frank Langella. Taking over from him, Raul Julia. And in the touring version, Jimmy Brett. Good Lord. Yeah, and then comments. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Thanks. I'll link to this gentleman's Twitter feed or account in the description below if you're on YouTube watching this, or in the comments on Fatche Book, or in the comments on Twitter. Thank you.